We found him. He's probably just mad that I'm late.
Trendsetter, I got style for you. Ain't seen you at the top, it's been a while for you. Big you up and they look down on you. Take one loss, no one's around for you. I won't stop. No, 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 no. I won't stop. I won't stop. I won't stop. No, 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 no. I won't stop. I won't stop. Yeah. I'm so handsome. All in Carmines with my Benz, I'm so fancy. No romancing. Got my baby and she right, she make you vanish. No time to play, got book dates. Had a plan, only had to wait. Always knew I'd make a way. Send a bill.
So, I tried to shoot this while being tattooed, and it just did not go well. The angle was absolutely terrible. I looked like an idiot, and you could hear the gun in the background. So we're gonna reshoot it now. Let's get to the Q&A. Now, are you ever going to release your Jamaica book? I don't know. I'm outside of statutes now, so it's a possibility, but kind of rather do a YouTube video about it. Favorite designer brand? Honestly, I haven't bought anything designer in a while. I kind of got over it, but all my luggage is Louis, so I guess Louis, I don't know. What do you do for a living and how did you get started? Well, I started in the cannabis business in California about 7 years ago. I moved here with $600 to my name when I got out of prison in Jamaica. I got out in April 2012. I moved here August of 2012. I had 2 roommates and we started a medicinal delivery service, and I kind of stuck with that route and did various things in that industry. And now that we're recreational, we're operating on the state license side, and we're also doing a lot of hemp deals. Where is your CBD produced? Southern Oregon. That's where our labs are, that's where our farms are. That's where the greater majority of our product comes from. Do you have any ghost or paranormal stories? Only when I'm driven in one. What advice would you give a young entrepreneur? I'm starting a clothing company. I tried clothing, didn't really work out too well for me. And then again, I wasn't fully committed to it because of everything else I had going on. So clothing is difficult. It's a very tight space to navigate, and because of the ease of entry, there's a lot of competition. So I'd say, focus on quality and marketing, and as long as you're committed to it and don't fear failing and continue pushing forward, that you will more than likely find a way to succeed. It's just gonna take a lot of strategy to do so. And once you can find those strategic partners and build something that somebody has yet to do, you'll be able to succeed. But if you're trying to just, have t-shirts printed and slang them out the back of the trunk, it's probably not gonna be the best path to go. Troshin, can I borrow your G63 for a couple of days? When it's done being armored and I take possession, yes, you're more than welcome. We'll charge the rental fee as a tattoo session. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Honestly, expanding outside of this industry. I'm looking to get back into real estate and do more things in that field. I tried and failed with a partner about, what year was that? About 9 or 10 years ago. So I'd like to give it another attempt, probably in the commercial space this time. Barbershop in LA, I will not give you Caesar. What advice would you give anyone starting a cannabis business? This is probably the most asked question that I received, and right now, it really isn't the best time to try and get in. I know mostly California laws and regulations just because that's where I'm based out of. But the competition is very high and you're competing with people that have very big money behind them. So when you're competing with companies like Harvest, it's very difficult to actually come into the space, build out a lab, because the majority of labs that are running everything on the legal side right now aren't the old school, threw it up in a house somewhere in IE and just process whatever we could labs. They're super labs that are multi-million-dollar setups. So, if you're trying to do like a white label retail brand, you might have better luck with that because that's gonna come down to marketing and how you're able to push it. But if you're trying to get on the farming and manufacturing side, it has a very high cost of entry, and most people won't make money for the first few years, just like in any business. It's not how the medicinal days were, where we were flipping packs to dispensaries and making a couple dollars off of each one and just going on our merry way. These days, it's all licensed, all lab tested, and all a lot more difficult to do. Tobias, my M wasn't slow, and if I hadn't parted out, I would race you. But because I did part it out, now you get to race my Supra when it's finished. So we'll see how your Challenger holds up to that one. Make a video about your girl, nobody cares about you. Just kidding, your vids are good. I don't doubt that. She definitely gets far more engagement and views than I do. At what age did you make your first million? 28. 28? 28. Touch back on the topic of how can you afford a Lamborghini in your apartment if you only have 55,000 followers on Instagram and 200 subscribers on YouTube. Just because I don't use social media for income. It isn't a revenue stream for me. Honestly, I didn't even have a big following until the video of me yelling at the valet for stealing my car went viral. So for me, it's been more for fun, and I'm doing the YouTube now because it's something I don't like being on this side of the camera, so it pushes me out of my comfort zone, which is why I'm enjoying it. That, and it gives me something new to learn because I have no idea what I'm doing. Filming, editing, none of that. Completely clueless, but seems to be working so far. What tattoo are you getting done? You'll see it better in the B-roll. What's your favorite whip? That's a tough one. I'm gonna have to break it down a few ways. Holy Grail has always been the McLaren F1. You know, I idolized that car as a kid. Favorite coupe? If it's a sport coupe, I'd say the M3. I've had more of them than I can count. Last one had 740 wheel horsepower, complete monster of a sedan. Let's see. SUV, I love the range. Exotic, that's a tough one. From what I've driven, I'd say probably, I love my 570 because it's like a go-kart, so I feel like I'd enjoy the 600 LT the most out of anything that's currently out. And then standard sport coupe, I love my Supra. It's being built right now, and that's been one of my childhood dream cars for a very long time. Best advice for someone who just graduated school and doesn't know what they want to do. If you have the cushion to do so, experiment. Figure out what it is you like to do, because you don't want to get stuck in a cubicle somewhere doing something that you hate for the rest of your life. And if you don't figure out what it is that you enjoy, then you'll always be miserable. The reason I got into the industry I got into, more so back then, was because it was very lucrative, but then I grew to enjoy it, I grew to be very good at it, and it was something that became fun to me. So if you find something that you enjoy and you're able to find a way to make it your job, you'll be much happier. Clippers or Lakers? Neither. I'm from Chicago, therefore I'm a Bulls fan, regardless of how terrible we may now be. How old are you? I turned 31 on Friday. Monster, when can you expect your Yeezys? When you wear a realistic size. You're like a 17. Stores don't get those. Like, I don't know what you want me to do there, and I'm not paying 3 times the price on StockX. Was life tough growing up for you? Yes, to put it bluntly. My mother remarried when I was 13. New husband, I didn't get along. Gave her ultimatum of either him or I, so she chose to kick me out. Shortly after she kicked me out, my father went to jail for some charges, and then I kind of bounced around from there and just relatively figured everything out myself. What struggles I encounter being in LA? I mean, I moved here with $600, so it was a roller coaster the first probably couple years. You know, we were scraping enough together to get by, but outside of that, it was definitely not smooth sailing. Give me money so I can live my life, please. No. When did you have your first business? I was 13, 14-ish. I had a cell phone customization shop. For those of you that remember Nextels, we used to do the housings on them, the LEDs, ringtones, all that bullshit. How many businesses have you done? How many have failed? Well, the primary reason that my Lamborghini had a license plate on it that said failure was because of how many times I failed before I finally figured out a path that allowed me to succeed. But I can't even guess how many things that I've attempted to start or started and it's just gone to shit, either right at the start, halfway through, or you end up partnering with the wrong people and they end up destroying it. It's way too convoluted of a question for me to have a quick answer to. Can you recommend how to get in the cannabis business? Honestly, the easiest start would be if you know people in it and you can just kind of shadow them, or, you know, find some type of intern type role to where you can plant your seed and just kind of grow throughout the industry. That's the way the majority of us got into it, was working alongside somebody that kind of figured out what they were doing and propelled it from there, because the problem, like I said, now is cost of entry is way too high if you want to do it solo. I'm 12 years old and need help with exposure with my racing. Would you help me, please? Send me information. I wish I got to race when I was 12. That sounds awesome. What's your advice for running a company successful? Honestly, put together a solid team. We all have our own strengths and we all have our own weaknesses, and you need somebody to counterbalance your strengths with theirs, so that way it counteracts your weaknesses. And if you don't have a strong team around you, it probably will either fail or it won't grow to be what it can be. No, I am not a music producer. I know absolutely nothing about producing music. Is it worth investing in a hemp farm, and is there money in it? Yes and no, because if you end up going into something with somebody that doesn't have experience in farming, or, you know, there's a lot of proposals going around right now that are just completely false, and people are just selling dreams to steal money. So if you can find a solid investment opportunity, 100% is. Now that the Farm Bill is passed, hemp is going to be a very lucrative industry moving forward. Do you know Brazil, my friend? Yes, I know Brazil. What was your first car? 1988 Nissan 240SX that I bought to build as a drift car because I'm an idiot and thought I needed a drift car when I was 15. That didn't go very well. Car was a complete pile of shit and got sold like a month later. Are you gay? No. What skills require, or what should we do to become wealthy and successful like you? Honestly, we all have our own skill sets, which is what separates us from everyone else, and you just need to figure out what your strong points are and leverage those in any type of business situation or even really life situation that you find yourself in. Because as long as you play up your strengths, it will push you to succeed. Let's see, there were a few more that were asked sporadically here and there that I just can't find, seeing the question's no longer active. So I guess we will cut it here, and anything else I can think of, we'll add on a later video.